YouTube live as well. I've been missing from the microphone for a little bit. Be me slaughter, as they say, if you're taking the roll in school, the rolla in the morning. Slaughter. So yes, just missing in absentia, but not that I was not doing anything, because just missing yesterday, Wednesday, and the previous day, Tuesday, on account of wonderful promotion work that has been going on. And it's really been a great joy and a great blessing, and I'd love to be able to split myself in two and be here for you at the microphone, as well as broadcasting, or as well as promoting. It's something we had ambitions towards, thinking that it might be possible to do both by way of broadcast as we're promoting, but we're not just there yet. I suppose in theory you could line up a show from a given parish, all right. But it's just that, when it's lovely to visit a parish, because you need time to meet and greet and just to chat with people and to share with them and give them time. And I like to try and do that as best I can. Not always easy when there's a lot of people, on hand like that too. So it presents its own challenges. So anyway, we come to the microphone when we can and as we can, and delighted to be able to do so, and just always glad of your company and all the lovely, lovely support that we are receiving. So now it's great to have your company again. As I say, do feel very much part of the radio here. Do please participate in the conversation. Do please share with us. 089-467-2000. As always, the text and WhatsApp number. info@radiomaria.ie is the email. And the phone will certainly be answered for you as well today. 014-123-456. And there's 4 lines on that number. So by all means do call us up. It's nice to see all the red lights flashing there on the phone. You see 3 or 4 lights lighting up at a time. It's nice to see that. There's great connection with many people here in Radio Maria. We're grateful for that. So just the lovely promotions we had when I went to Wexford last Saturday and Sunday. Big thank you to Father Billy Swan, and to Father James, of course, Father Ken. These are the priests I met there, but Father Michael too as well, and Father Michael recovering nicely, I think, as well from a recent time in hospital. So it's good to meet those wonderful priests. 2 twin churches in Wexford, not a town I've spent any time in before. Simply passed through from Rosslare to Cork. Although that journey, if you get the ferry from Pembroke to Rosslare and try to go, I did it many a winter's night, actually, back in the day when I was working in England, driving home for Christmas, and cold and the ferry. Not a happy voyage in wintertime, not to be that recommended if you're not a seafaring person. So would have driven through Wexford at many an occasion, but never stopped to visit. So it was nice to visit, and a lovely welcome we received, and lovely friendly sacristans there, Teresa and Ray, so the sacristan too, very kind to us there and facilitating us, and some lovely local volunteers. Sarah was unable to come as we had planned, so thanks to Keith and Kira and all the children there. They did a great job of helping out, and indeed to the other members of the Legion of Mary there as well, very kindly assisting us. As photographs there on our Facebook page. It was really lovely to have all that help coming along to assist us. So met lots of lovely people and received many of your prayer intentions, which we have since put into our prayer group here to include you there. So Father Billy asked me just to talk a little bit about the Legion of Mary and the celebration of the centenary, but especially about Frank Duff. So what I brought with me was a number of little booklets of Can We Be Saints. There's only a handful of them left now, and gave them away, happy to give them away, really to not just promote the Legion, but to encourage people on the path to holiness. A little free giveaway there while I was in Wexford, for the time that was in it and the moment that was in it too. So I hope those who receive those little books down in Wexford are having a read of them and maybe stepping out on that path of sanctity. So it was a lovely visit, I must say, and really sincere thanks to all who helped out. And when I dropped into the Legion of Mary headquarters, I was able to pick up their lovely publication. Let me get this in camera view here for those watching on the camera. It's the Maria Legionis magazine, and it's for the centenary edition. I'll show you the back cover as well. There's just a beautiful image. We had mentioned this, I think, myself and Roisin on Saturday. Just a gorgeous image. We might see if that might be suitable for the calendar or not. We're still working on selecting images, and thanks to those who sent in images for our inclusion, for possible inclusion on our next year's calendar. That'll be a work in progress. So we've made a first draft, and we hope we can narrow it down and select or deselect images. Anyway, it's a lovely a collection of articles, as usual, a special edition for the centenary there, and well done to the Legion of Mary. Fine production as well. And our good friend Father Paul Churchill, whom you might remember, we replayed some of the recordings we had from the archives. Canon lawyer for the Archdiocese of Dublin and a wonderful Legion supporter. Alice put this into my hands as well at the Concilium headquarters, a book of just reflections and thoughts produced by Father Paul Churchill, again for the centenary of the Legion, based on his allocuzios and talks, and he is a wonderful speaker, very insightful, very down to earth as well. So maybe I should get him on the microphone to chat a little bit about this lovely book of his. And it might be certainly one to consider to add to your library of spiritual reading, along with all the great classics that Father John, of course, is sharing with us each Thursday at 4 o'clock for the Radio Maria Book Club. So I think actually next Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the turn of Frank Duff and the biography of Frank Duff written by Finola Kennedy. And there's two legionaries, Patricia and Catherine, are coming on to join Father John to talk about that work. And it is an absolute, it is tops. It's the best biography and the most deeply researched and well presented story of Frank Duff. Maybe a bit scholarly or a bit technical, perhaps for some. I've noticed that there's one or two people who have read it just found it didn't quite click for them as they had expected. I'm not sure, but it's in great detail. It's very punchy and it's very much to the point. It's well written now as a strong biographical account of the life and times, really, of the servant of God, Frank Duff. That's by Finola Kennedy. So that'll be the next show, as I understand it, for the book club with Father John. And so he's gathering a nice little bookshelf of great reading material to be shared there as well. So that was Wexford. It was just, again, lovely with the two churches there, and just lovely to see the geography of the town there. Is it the St. John of God's are there as well? The Franciscan friars, there's a friary in between the two churches, and the presbyteries there as well. It's like it's all sort of gathered together in one part of the town there. Lovely to see it. And really, as Father Billy, really, mindful that the harvest is rich and the labourers are few. So like every good parish priest, really yearning to reach out to all his people. And so again, if you're listening in from Wexford or thereabouts, maybe to consider getting involved in the Legion there. Give Father Billy a hand, and the other priests as well, a hand in reaching out to those who, again, for whatever reason, have drifted a little bit away from their faith, And very often all it takes is a little reach out, a hand in friendship to another person to draw them back in. And one or two little initiatives. It's always nice when people bring their own gifts and talents into the parish, and they might well be able to start something that interests them or suits them. Remember some years ago, it was in Middleton. There was a lovely couple there from the States. They were wondering how it was we didn't have a basement, or how we didn't have coffee and donuts in the morning. So we started a little initiative called Tea on the Lawn. Not only lasted, let's say, it went from April to November. This is way back in the early noughties. But the remarkable thing that struck me, we did it outdoors as the weather was mild. And not one Sunday morning when we had it on for the morning masses did it rain. I was amazed at that we didn't get rained on. This is East Cork. It should have rained at least, one or two Sundays. And in the end, as things got cooler, we moved into the little band hall next door, the scout hall next door. And it just kind of faded a little after that. But it was a try, and there was flasks and there was coffee and tea and a few little scones or biscuits or whatever that people sort of brought along. And the idea was to sit down and just have a chat. And a number of people came along regularly and did it. And so that's what I mean. So any kind of little local initiative that might help the priest and just build up the parish in some little way. We're chatting this morning over the cup of tea and the scone there after Mass about the local residents association the ladies have there where they live. And I was asking them, what exactly do they do? Well, part of their remit is to maintain and look after the area, make sure the council are doing their part, watching out for planning permissions and all these other things going on. And this is, volunteer activity again in the community to build it up. And interesting what Mary was saying, how relatively few people made the small contribution towards the fund to help them to do the little initiatives they were doing. Relatively few compared to everybody living in the neighbourhood. So I suppose rather than looking at the glass half empty, it's true, there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, maybe don't make the effort or don't seem to bother or don't want to bother. There are others, of course, then who just either not able or not capable or simply can't afford or whatever it might be. But for the number that do, here is the thing, for the number that do, they beautify the place, they lift up the place, they enhance it, and they get such a lot out of it themselves. And I like to think of the church in the same way, that your contribution, however small, or your volunteer activity or interaction with the church, bringing your talent or your gift to bear upon it, builds it up in some little way and makes it then accessible and available to all. It might be that some don't darken the church except for occasions. Maybe some might never darken the church till they're carried in. Excuse me. That's not a good thing. But the fact that the church is there, it's standing, it's open, it's maintained, it's kept in good order, and there are priests there to serve the people. That's really the important thing, that it stands as a lighthouse, as a beacon, as a place of refuge. Many people, while they might not seem, as if they're in the front pew practicing with sleeves rolled up, will be the ones who maybe come in, have a quiet day and light a candle. It was just lovely, actually. I went for a little prayer afterwards in the church in Wexford before I hit the road to go home. And it's just nice to see people just wandering in, lighting a candle, spending time and in prayer. A lovely place of refuge for so many. And even that, you see, it's keeping the church open, if you want. So never underestimate how even the little that you might give, or the talent or gift you have, never underestimate really the value of that. And in terms of grace, of course, it has infinite value, infinite treasure. And it's the treasure we all carry, even though in earthenware vessels, as the first reading reminded us this morning, but that we bring to bear. So now it was also lovely to visit Blarney Parish on Tuesday morning, and mea culpa, I had some lovely pictures that we took, which I'll post up on the Facebook page as soon as I get a chance. It's just been one thing after another, really. It's always the way. You're away for a couple of days and come back. It's full on in all departments. It's hard to get time to breathe and catch up on things, but I'll post those up. And just met some lovely people again in Blarney, and a number of people who already listeners, already tuning in, and really just endorsing and encouraging us in the work. And again, thanks to Dennis, Kathy, of course, organising everything there. Joan and Mary came across from Macroom as well, just to put in a word and be there and help along. Excuse me. As indeed Patricia and Anne came too to help. Lovely to have a great team of people, smiling faces and on hand to help promote. Wonderful. Absolutely marvellous. So please God, this coming weekend we'll be going to Charleville Parish, this time in North Cork, on the Limerick border. So there's always a little overflow from Limerick there. So very much looking forward to that visit at all the masses on Saturday evening and Sunday morning. So if you're anywhere within range or in the vicinity, please do come along, and please do say hello to us, and please do maybe help us on, put on the little blue Radio Maria bib and hand out some of the programme flyers. And who knows who will be touched and who will be helped. And finally, again, yesterday was a lovely visit to Booterstown. Thanks to Father Michael Kane there. Paddy, I think, was in the sacristy. Marion came up from the PPC, the Parish Pastoral Council, and gave me a kindly welcome. That was a lovely, thoughtful thing to do. It was very nice to speak with Marion there. And Patricia came in as she helped out with the reading too. So again, it was lovely to meet and a fine crowd for Mass. Lovely to see it in a really beautiful church. So again, a first for me. It's lovely to go to these new parishes and again meet and greet and encourage and bring blessings and to hear indeed that there are those there likewise who were visiting. They heard we were coming to Booterstown and they came along just to meet and say hello. So we met some lovely people there who are already volunteering and praying on air with us, and a couple who, please God, might well gravitate towards the microphone here as well. So as we go along, you see we pick up little local promoters and local enthusiasts, and then others who maybe want to help the radio on another little stretch of the way. So it's just, it's a marvellous thing to do. I enjoy visiting parishes now, I must say. There's a lot of work goes into it, a share of travelling and setting up and phone calls and organising, and Sarah's just been brilliant with all of that. We're going to miss her terribly. She's leaving us tomorrow, of course. But please God, we hope to be doing some interviews in the not too distant future and seeing can we get a new person to occupy that post of promoter with Radio Maria. And we're just looking indeed at our staffing levels as well. And things are in motion in that regard too. So lots of little things moving along all the while. And with thanks again to you for all of your support, and indeed thanks to all whom we meet, because it's just like that, as I often say here on the radio, we come to be of service. We come to share a really good news item with you. That look, you now have a Catholic radio that you can switch on, switch off any time of the day or night, and there will be voices there to share with you beautiful music, beautiful testimonies, stories, conferences, prayer especially, and we're there to help you on your faith journey. So it's only a good news, and as we always say to the priests and to people too, look, we're here to serve. We've come to help. We've come to back you up in the good you're doing, to be there for you, to be an alternative source of life-giving faith and nurturing in your faith. And my hope is that just the reciprocal, or if you want the knock-on effect of that again, like the residents association of your own local community, like if nobody does this, then who cares for the community anymore? How can it build? How can it grow? How can new things come about? And so the reciprocal, I would hope, or certainly the influence that Radio Maria, please God, can continue to be in supporting you in your faith, will help then as you participate in the life of your parish. So I do hope it'll just sort of pour back into the parish community, and that it will help you as so many indeed are returning to Mass. It's lovely to see. And it will build up the mystical body of Christ. I think we had that idea in the first reading, that more and more people giving thanksgiving to God. That's the blessing. And so I would hope indeed that your priests, your parish priests on the ground, will experience that sort of bubbling of new life, or kind of energy that the blessing of faith gives. As I often say, it's so like in a parish I know well for years. You get to say a few words maybe at the morning Mass, you get your 5-7 minutes on a Sunday morning, but it seems to be anyway as much as the influence can be by way of speaking or engaging with the people. Otherwise it's all the hands-on ministry of the sacramental celebrations, of visiting schools and the hospital and home visits, and out the country, of course, the station masses is a lovely means of meeting people. But it always struck me, it's not enough. There must be, it's like Father Billy, it's saying sort of frustration like this, so much needs to be done and we need help. And so here it is then that the radio can be that additional place of support and encouragement in faith and in prayer. So please do let it reflect back into your parish community and bring this blessing and these blessings to others. Let others know, please, as we're on the road of promotion in earnest now. We're hoping to go to Fermoy, I think is penciled in for the end of the month, and I know further afield into other dioceses too. So we had Cashel in mind in Kerry, and Cork and Ross in the Munster area. Excuse me. And I know we've had, sorry now, that frog, bear with me, he's a friend. He does remind me of his presence every now and again. Sorry about that. And the west of Ireland certainly is on our radar. We spoke to the Bishop of Conry, and we're continuing that conversation with bishops too. And looking forward, we have one or two contacts to line up some parishes in the west and really get that area of Ireland activated by way of promotion as well. So watch this space. That's more or less the update in that area. And it's, as I say, thank you to so many just beautiful people of sincere faith who are expressing great fellowship and solidarity with us and encouraging us no end and helping us to continue on this path. So the word is getting out there. Radio Maria is gradually becoming a well-known name, and I think it's helping. Please God, it is. I'm bringing life and hope to so many. Now the Pope has completed his visits to Budapest and in Hungary and to Slovakia, and his traditional visit, as he returns home, he goes to visit the Basilica of St. Mary Major. He does it as before he departs and when he leaves, as like bookends, it says here, to his apostolic journeys. It says he pops in for a moment 1 or 2 evenings before he leaves to ask Our Lady's protection, and then zigzags across Rome for another stop on his way to the Vatican from the airport to thank her. So that's, you'd have to, I think it's a bit of a journey. Geography I have in my head, more or less, where St. Mary Major's is. It's not that far from the Vatican, but in terms of getting there, arriving from the airport would be a little bit awkward, I think, in Rome. So anyway, he did the same on Wednesday afternoon, the other day, returning from Bratislava, and he prayed for a while before the ancient icon of Maria Salus Populi Romani. Maria, Mary, Salus, I suppose salvation, Populi, the people of Rome. He also laid a bouquet of flowers on the altar at her feet in gratitude. Isn't that lovely? And no doubt lit a candle maybe as well. Isn't that a nice idea, a little visit, a little small mini pilgrimage to Our Lady to bless his journeys. After landing at Ciampino Airport, the Pope stopped to pray before the icon and after his return to the Vatican. The image of the salvation of the Roman people is housed in the Basilica's Borghese chapel. Tradition holds that the icon arrived in Rome during the reign of Pope St. Gregory the Great, or sometime around the year 590 AD, though its origins date back even further. So, marvellous tradition and practice to have. So it's kind of following the footsteps really of the early popes and the early pilgrims of the church. Just mindful of Cyprian and Cornelius today. Let me give you what the breviary offers for them. In fact, there's 2 readings, one from St. Cyprian, the choice today, and one from they're both from St. Cyprian actually. I thought one was Cornelius. But Cornelius was ordained Bishop of Rome, a predecessor, of course, of Pope Francis, in the year 251. So that's before St. Patrick. Is he in our litany of saints? I'm scratching my head now. We have or is it St. Clement, I think it is, who sent St. Patrick to Ireland. He's included on our Irish litany. So Cornelius would have been the man before him, I guess, or 1 or 2 before him, maybe. He laboured to combat the Novatian schism, and with the help of Cyprian, he was able to enforce his authority. He was sent into exile by the Emperor Gallus and died in Civita Vecchia in the year 253. So gosh, he got 2 years as Pope, and they gave him a hard time. His body was brought to Rome and interred at the cemetery of Callistus. Cyprian, he was born in Carthage, that's North Africa, and I think it's Algeria, isn't it, because we spoke of that in relation to St. Augustine. He was born on the year 210, so contemporary, I suppose, enough with Cornelius. He was converted to the faith in later life and ordained a priest and ordained Bishop of Carthage in 249. So let me think. That would have been before, I guess, St. Augustine too, would it not? So it must have been an important diocesan territory. He guided his church excellently during much troubled times, both by his deeds and his writings. And during the persecution of Valerian, the emperor, he was first exiled and then in 258 martyred for the faith. Yes, if you think times are hard now or challenging now, they were equally challenging back in that day. They say, actually, there's more martyrs for the faith in the church in these times than back in the times of the early Christians. The church wasn't quite so numerous, maybe. But is there ever a time, and I was making this point this morning at Mass, is there ever a time when there isn't a challenge? I mean, or a persecution or some troubled times for the church? And just find any date, go back in history to any date and any time, and you will see that they had it tough. They had it tough no matter where, no matter when. There was no kind of relaxation, if you like, when you could sort of sit back and I don't know. I mean, it's an illusion, I suppose, in a way. It's not. It's like the green grass, as I mentioned, on the far away. It seems greener, but it's an illusion to think that we can get away with just putting it into neutral or sitting on the fence. Our faith isn't like that. In fact, our faith dies if that's the position we adopt or take. Again, this idea that if we just focus all our energy on maintenance or management, that's for any business, even as a business model or business strategy, that is not going to work. You can maintain what you're doing and manage it all very well, but you're not growing your business. You're not growing the faith. You can have a very tidy sacristy, and that's a beautiful thing to have. You can have everything in order, and you can have the routine of the masses and the sacramental celebrations, and these are all very important and very necessary and all part of managing. You can make sure all the drain pipes are unblocked and the gutters are cleaned, and that the fire hazards are attended to and the alarms are all in place, your insurance is paid, and you're looking after your music ministry and so on and so forth. In the parish, you can just see to all of those things. You can be on boards of management left, right and centre, but there's something missing. Do you know what it is? We speak about it at length here. If it's just management and maintenance, good, well done. That's good and faithful servant. Yes, that needs to be done. The missing ingredient and the important ingredient, really, to animate both and to give purpose and meaning to the management and the maintenance, is mission. That if it is that we're not somehow concerned about those empty pews around us, if we're not concerned about those who are not, seem to be on the periphery, or seem to be out of communion in some way, or at a distance, if we're not concerned about that, we have a problem. We have a problem. And hence the Pope reaches out to Hungary, goes there, reaches out to Slovakia, goes there, talks all the time about the poor and the beleaguered world we're in, that there's major work to be done all the time. Today, tomorrow, next year, next century, the poor you will have with you always, the Lord says. There's the task. Let me pause for a little piece of music, if I may. Thank you for bearing with me and journeying with me here. I think there are a couple of questions going back, Lon, that I needed to address as well, that I might get time to just touch in on there. So very good. There's Peter. How did I pass my time on the ferry? Are you kidding me? Coming home in the winter time from Pembroke to Rosslare, you know what I did? I got my sleeping bag. I couldn't afford a berth. I was only my early working days. Bring a sleeping bag, crash on the floor in the corridor or anywhere out of the way, and stay down. The minute you get up, and those Irish seas, are you kidding me? There's your answer, Peter. Not a hope. I mean, I knew it because I didn't have sea legs. I would get sick straight away. It'd be awful. So lie down, stick it out, Get up in the morning, drive home. There you go. Very good. And we had a couple of choices here. Yes, that's a nice choice there. Heinrich Schütz. It is Die mit Tränen sehen, if I'm pronouncing that right. Ulrika will correct me. Translated as those who sow in tears will reap with joy. Returning with joy and bringing their sheaves. That lovely psalm that reminds us that yes, we sow in tears. It's a struggle at times, but there's a rich and great harvest to be wrought. So thanks, Andrew. A little piece of music. 089 467 2000. Text and WhatsApp, and phone us up on 014 123 456. Oh, that beautiful piece of music. Thanks for that, Andrew. Heinrich Schütz, Die mit Tränen sehen. Again, apologies if I'm making a mess of that pronunciation. Those who are sowing in tears will sing when they reap. And you could hear that really in the music. Beautiful polyphony there. Now, welcome back to Radio Maria Ireland. Thanks for coming. I just got my head down here in the phone and just reading through some of the lovely text messages. And shout out to everybody watching on Facebook. Thanks, Susan. Thanks for your message. Agnes Mitchell is watching too. Great to have you with us too, Agnes. And Gurpreet Gur watching all the way from India, I think, there as well. Oh, Tara gets the credit for the music. Well, yes, we really are upping the ante here in some beautiful music. Really, it's lovely to hear that, because indeed we would wish to excel in this department very much. Now, just going back on a few messages that did come into us, our good friends John and Josephine in Roscommon, lovely to hear from you. They've been on the air with us here, lovely couple, and John takes the time to write at length to us his beautiful script as well. He was listening to a CNA to the Church in Need, Davide, the other day. I didn't get to hear the programme, but he had stated that the cross, was the exaltation of the cross, was taken by the Persians to Rome. I don't know at what point that would have happened, and he's asking, could we explain the timeline of the location of the cross? Now, without doing some pretty heavy research into that, John and Josephine, I really do not know. I know that criticism is sometimes levied on the idea that there are relics of the true cross. Frank Duff had a relic of the true cross, which he, as far as he was concerned, was authentic. It didn't bother him that he didn't have a certificate for it. He prayed over people with it, and he saw miracles take place, or healings take place. Wouldn't take any of that credit for himself. And he said, well, look, that's how you know it's genuine or not. But the argument is sometimes cynically made that if you were to gather together all the pieces, all the relics of the true cross, that you'd have more than one cross in your hands. But it's one of those, it's like the shroud in a way. There's a little bit of mystery surrounding it. There was a parish I was in had a relic of the true cross as well. We used to bring it out for the Feast of the Exaltation, and for the stations. It was there on display in the church, actually. It was lovely to have it there. But again, I don't know what authentication there was exactly for it. It goes so far back in the mists of time. So I'm afraid, John and Josephine, even on the top of my head, I can't offer anything by way of a timeline for the journey that the cross would have made, except for what's handed down to us traditionally. It's one of those mysterious things, really. So I'm sure maybe there's something written up on that. Not sure. So sorry I can't be of more assistance on that one. Peter asked an interesting question about the Lucifer and the fallen angels, that where did they fall to? Was it somewhere near Babylon? What part of the earth did they fall to? Well, demons and devils, fallen angels, are spirits. So they don't fall into any particular place or any location. We've learned that about angels. They don't occupy space or time. They're pure spirits. But Jesus, these are the words, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Excuse me. So it's described as a fall just because it's a fall from grace, rather than gravity as such, falling off a cloud or something. That wouldn't be the case with angels. Simply a fall from grace to a far worse fall, in a way, into disgrace. So as to geographically where they fell to, I think that doesn't matter, or it's because there is no matter. Rather, it's that they fell into disgrace. They fell out of grace. That's not a good place to be, no matter where you might want to situate that geographically. So I hope that helps a little bit there, Peter, as well. Thanks to Dermot. He sent in a couple of texts as well too. Again, on the Feast of the Exaltation of the Cross, where he just heard me speaking about Frank Duff and his idea of the Eucharist, our treasure. I don't think I finished that passage from the Handbook of the Legion of Mary. I'll have to come back to that again. But rightly so, Dermot, you're spot on, and I'm more than certain that Frank Duff has elsewhere referred to it. I just didn't get enough time to complete his reflection on the Holy Eucharist as an instrument of conversion. But yes, indeed, it brings us to Calvary. It brings us to the cross. It's the sacrifice of Calvary made present where Christ offers his body, blood, soul and divinity to the Father for us. That's every Holy Mass indeed. So yes, thank you, Dermot, absolutely spot on. And I'm quite certain Frank Duff went to one, even two Masses every day when he could. It's after the second Mass he attended that he died, on the day he died. Extraordinary man. So well done, thanks for that, Dermot, good to hear from you. Let me see, was there another one you sent in as well, I think, Dermot? I think there was. Hope we have time for it. Oh yes, you were speaking of one of our guests earlier today in helping women to seek alternatives to abortion, and how much indeed we're well aware how diabolic indeed the destruction of innocent unborn life is. It's surely, talk about fallen angels falling into disgrace. The devil wants nothing other than our destruction. So to offer women hope and help and support is certainly angelic by that standard, and so merits a great reward indeed in heaven. So amen to that, Dermot. Saints Cornelius and Cyprian, pray for us. Absolutely. God knows there'll be some judgment on the world for what we have or have not done in relation to unborn life. And just conclude our Chatechesis today. Next Wednesday sees our 40 days and 40 nights of adoration, 24/7, of Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament for faith and for life. So if you'd like to spend some hours here, get in touch with us. We'll pass your details on to John Carlin and Paula, who are organising the 40 days starting next Wednesday. And it's always, as you know, difficult to rally troops to fit into the times and to space them out so that they can be, again, everyone can be safe and well, but to make sure that all of the hours are covered. So do please get in touch. You've heard some of the jingles, I'm sure, and we'll pass your details on to John. It's going to be starting, please God, next Wednesday for 40 days and 40 nights, prayer, adoration here for faith and for life. Thank you so much for being part of the radio show today. Apologies for the slightly late start and a little overrun now, but thank you. Lovely to have you with us and with me here.